This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
At some point, what the organization realized is that if we don't get where and how we produce food right, we're not going to have a planet. If you just look at the numbers going forward, by 2050, we're going to have to produce as much food as we have in the last 8,000 years. It means we're going to have to basically double the amount of food that we have today if business as usual continues. We've come to believe as an organization that anything we do around protecting biodiversity, helping endangered species survive, or even creating national parks or protected areas will all be undone if we don't figure out how to produce more food in better ways. Because that's going to be the biggest threat to biodiversity on the planet. In fact, the biggest threat is agricultural sprawl. So extensive use of landscapes to produce food rather than more intensive production of crops and livestock systems. We've got to figure out how to do that sustainably if we're going to have nature left for our children and our grandchildren. We identified very early on 15 commodities that were the biggest threats to the 35 most important places on the planet. And then we looked at which companies buy those. And we figured out that there's about 300 to 500 that buy each of those 15. But if you look at the names, they start to all be the same. It's Cargill, it's Walmart, it's, Pepsi, Coke, etc. And so then we realized that 100 companies actually buy 25% of all 15. And we could actually work with 100 companies. That was our premise. We could work with them to help them drive their sourcing decisions towards more sustainability. And we all came together using science as our guide and agreed on what the 6 or 8 most important impacts were for each of the commodities in question. The world is changing very fast when it comes to agriculture. I was in Edmonton and Saskatoon maybe 4 years ago, and at that point in 2000 they could grow in those areas 4 crops in the year 2000. By the time I was there in 2013, 2014, they could grow 22. And they're now exporting 5 million tons of pulses to India. A group like World Wildlife Fund is never going to be an agricultural organization. We don't have the expertise around soils, around plant breeding, animal husbandry, etc. That's not our skill set. But we do see what's happening around the world in a lot of places that people care about. And if we can bring these 2 skill sets together, I think we can figure out how to solve these problems faster.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on AGam in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.